Hello, I'm Mahir and I am a Stuyvesant freshman. The folks at Sty are running a vegetarian slash vegan cookbook. They're going to release it with several videos regarding sustainable and foods that can and recipes that can be locally grown. So I will be making a cheddar broccoli soup. It's my favorite soup. Parents love it and it's great for a fall dinner. So without further ado, let's get started. So let's talk ingredients. What do you exactly need to make a cheddar broccoli soup? So the ingredients that you need for this recipe are now posted upon screen. And the main components that you need for this soup are the following. You need a good roux, stock, vegetables, and spices. So with these four components, you should be able to make a fairly good soup, and your side dish should be some bread, preferably toasted, and we will now start on the preparing our vegetables. My little workspace that I use. So what you want is that you want one entire broccoli head. The recipe that I follow usually has two, but this one's pretty big. You can use two medium-sized ones if you want. So I just cut the bottom of the stalk, and what I'll do is that I'll just start to tear the heads of broccoli from the biggest head forward. So you'll just keep doing it until it snaps. And we'll just continue on until we have everything ready. So I simply just cut my broccoli and I trimmed off a little bit of the stem and I cut them into smaller pieces. This one needs a little bit more cutting. And I also quickly scraped the end of the floret because it's a little bit tough and no one likes tough broccoli. So next we will use our carrot. You're gonna need about one half cup shredded worth of carrots. So nothing simple, just quickly rinse, get your peeler, and start peeling away. Okay, great. Now that we got the peeling underway, we will now start to grate. If I can find my grater, and we have our measurement cup here. So we're just going to simply put our stuff here, peel over there, and we're gonna start just grating. I fairly like a little bigger slices of carrot because they give the soup its natural sweetness. And I personally just like a little more carrot in my soup. I don't like, finely grated carrots inside my soup. Now we're just gonna keep doing this. Might as well just put this here for safety. We're just gonna keep grating the whole carrot. And this is a small carrot, so you're only gonna need about one of these. If you do have like baby carrots or something, I suggest you use much more. And that's about 1/2 to 3/4 cup carrot. And there you go, there's our shredded carrot. And now we will move on to our the next part of our recipe. So I'm just gonna take all this carrot back up, I'm gonna wash our grater, and we will move on to our next step. Now we'll start our onion, which will be the base of the soup. All the gravy comes from this little guy. So we're gonna wash. Take our cutting board, take off the root, use that for some stock later. Peel. go. Now that you have everything on one side, you're just gonna quickly cut the tip off. Holy grail. I'm only gonna use about half this onion, so we're gonna cut down the root. There you go. And I simply just like thin slices, so we're just gonna go down. We're just gonna thinly chop these. So I got my onion chopped up, and oh, it's moving around. So that's all our vegetables are prepped, and now we will start making the basis of our soup. Okay, so now we're gonna get to our roux, which is a basis of butter, flour, and some sort of preferably cream or milk. I'll be using half and half for this recipe, and we will be mixing those to make a roux. A roux is basically called the base of. It literally means the base of your soup, which is the thickening agent that we will be using to make the creaminess of the soup. So we will now get started. I have a saucepan, a particularly wide saucepan, on the gas right now. Now we shall ready our base. So to our wide saucepan, the heat is already up. So I had some butter going from earlier that has been softened a little, has been sitting out of the fridge for about a good 20-30 minutes beforehand, and this is a little softened, so it'll be easy to work with. You want the heat nice and high. Oh, okay. You want the heat nice and high so that the butter melts, but you don't want it so high that it smokes super high. You don't want smoky butter. It's just gonna clump the air, and I can't afford to get the smoke alarm changed again. Okay, and to our butter, we will now add our onions. We will now add our thinly sliced onions, so that they can caramelize, which is basically the releasing of sugars from the onion. We want them to release all their sweetness flavor, like again the carrots, since they're thinly cut or peeled, they'll start to disintegrate and release all their flavors. I'm just gonna also break up the onion because I didn't slice it quite thin enough. Okay, there. Now it's a little bit thinner and they're all nice and happy. So now we will add our 4 tablespoons of flour. So I guess you could say equal parts butter and flour if you're a measuring geek like I am. So we're just gonna add our flour. And what that does is just make the onions a lot clumpier. And we're gonna turn the heat up a little bit because we want that raw flour to disintegrate completely, get rid of all that raw smell. And then we'll just let the liquids do the talking. They'll get really thick, and they shall make our broth as we know it. So I'm just gonna keep cooking the flour off until all the raw smell is gone. Then we will add our half and half and our veggie stock. Okay, now all the flour has become pasty and broken down. Now we will add our half and half. Just so for references, I use Urban Meadow half and half, which I know I've done this recipe so many times now that one of these, which is 1 pint, is 2 cups. So yeah, just let it rip. And we'll lower the heat so it doesn't burn automatically. Now you can use milk in this situation if you don't have half and half.
it works the exact same way, because in the end you're just looking for a thickening agent. You're looking for the milk or your cream to be really thick and glossy and to absorb all that flour. So we're gonna let this simmer for 2 to 3 minutes on medium low heat, and we're just gonna because the flour now is gonna get a little bit looser because of the half and half that we put in, but the flour is also gonna be absorbed into the half and half, making it a little bit thicker, almost the consistency of heavy cream, if you want a comparison.
I'm gonna do it from this angle since it's better if you guys get a closer view. So the but the roux is now really thick, and you can go through the entire thing with a spatula and it breaks apart, but it still comes together, so it still has this liquid base. Now we'll add our veggie stock to complete the stock. I use vegetable stock. I don't really use any other type since it's what's recommended. So since my full cup is being used, I'll be using the half cup, and you want 2 cups of broth. I hope I read that right. Yeah, you want 2 cups of broth. So here's 1. You got 1.5, and you have 2. Add more as needed, so I'm gonna add a little bit more because my one came out a little thicker than usual. Now fire up the heat, and I'll mix the roux into the stock. Now we have the basis of our broth. The basis of our soup, my bad. Now it's time for the vegetables. So now we have our vegetables, we have our carrots. We will just add that in as needed. We will add in our broccoli as well. I'm gonna cut this a little finer, and we will just add our broccoli. Now it's not as much liquid as I thought, but the broccoli will release some of its liquid as well. So I'm just gonna quickly cut off some of the stalks from the broccoli to make it a little bit smaller and edible to eat. Okay, great. Now I'll just reintroduce them to the broth, mix them in. Quickly mix, coat them a little bit. Add a little more stock because I don't want our soup to become too thin. Too thick, my bad. Because if the roux is too thick, then the whole thing falls apart and you'll have a mess. So now we're gonna quickly introduce our seasonings, the most important parts of any cheddar broccoli soup. We're going to add 2 teaspoons of salt. And inside this little thing is a secret spice that I tell no one, and you shall never know what it is. Okay, I shall drop the act. It's nutmeg. So you just add a little bit of ground nutmeg. And finally, a little bit of ground paprika. I use about a dash and 2. That's it. You don't want it to be overly spicy and your taste buds essentially fall off. Now you want to just mix. And now we shall put a lid on this and let it simmer. Okay, let's get everything on the side. And we will let this simmer for 15 to 20 minutes depending on how big your broccoli sizes are and how tender you want them. And we will get started on shredding our cheese. Now we get to the cheesy bit. I will be using a block of cheddar cheese that I just have in my fridge. Now you may be thinking, Mahir, why are you using a block of cheese? Are you vegetarian or vegan? You are a disgrace to the cookbook. Now there, haters. Please don't hate on me. Anyways, some people are vegetarians, meaning they will eat some products of animals as long as it doesn't include the slaughter. So they'll not eat fish, shellfish, beef, chicken, and so on. But byproducts such as eggs, cheese, and others, and butter even, which I used for the roux, are all products that some vegetarians might eat. So assuming that all vegetarians don't eat the actual meat and eat some of the byproducts, then this applies. We're using cheese. Let's grate some cheese. Okay, so I like it on the thicker side so it melts more easily. So we're just going to, I like some rock music in there. Oh, cheese. So we're just going to half a cup. Just keep grating. Can I get the rock music back? Cheese is good. And now we have our lovely cheddar cheese all shredded up. And now we will check back on our soup. So now we add in the cheese. I have our 2 cups of cheddar here, or just a huge cheese block. And we're gonna add in a handful at a time so we can assess how creamy our soup wants to be. You don't want to be eating fistfuls of cheese, you know. And I know you say that cheese is delicious and it's infinite, but in this case there is such a thing as too much cheese. So yeah, I think we're just gonna go big or go home. So we're just gonna add all the cheese, and we will now mix cheese. We're gonna let it coagulate. So after 15 to 20 minutes, the soup is done, the broccoli is tender, the carrots are also done, and the broth is simmering really nicely. Hey, it's me again. If you made it this far in the video, it's time for your awaited moments. It's time to present our food. Bowl. You want to get that good old soup broth. All that cheesy goodness. It is a little bit thinner than I liked. It's not as thick, but I'm not a hater on thick or thin, so I'll deal with it right now. So I'll settle with it actually. So now we have our bowl of soup. We shall also get a plate because I'm fancy like that. Our plate because I'm fancy. And let me get the bread. The bread's the best part. And now the taste test. I just stole a little bit of bread. I got it from the grocery, freshly baked. Now the dip and the taste. Oh yeah, that's looking good. So good. You have to try this recipe. Thank you for watching. I hope this recipe helped you make something new that you can now master in your own cookbook, and to make it for that special someone. But for right now, I have some soup to eat. So until then, see you again.